All right, so this is part 3 of fear-mongering and lies. Tonight I want to address the website that's put out by Jordan Fowler, Reno PC. Specifically, I want to deal with the page about the future of Reno. And I want to start off talking about the money, okay? Right now, we have enough money to pay off our debt. I've mentioned this before in other videos. It's been earmarked, and they've saved the money from the extra tax, the 55 on 100, and it's enough to pay off the debt. So if we disincorporate, we can pay our debt off, and we will not have to worry about paying a tax for into perpetuity or who knows how long. If we don't disincorporate, that's what we're going to talk about now, because this plan that Bass came up with, 30, 60, 91 day, 120 day plan. Well, if you look at it, there's nothing about cost analysis at all. They're not going to tell you how much it's going to cost you in taxes and what it's going to cost to do it. And so I wanted to just kind of discuss quickly for me, yeah. Anyway, go through the costs and what they're claiming on this website and put it into perspective so y'all understand what you're going to be paying for and understand why the idea of going to the county is so much a better idea, because we're already paying those taxes to the county. Now they may raise them slightly, a couple pennies on the 100, because 150,000 people. I can't believe it's going to raise our taxes that much, and I don't believe they will. If they raise them, it's just going to be because everything's going up. Let's be honest. Because 3,500 people and even 13 acres, 13 miles of land mass, whatever we are, it might impact the roads some, yeah. And so that might go up on the lateral road part. The sheriff's department falls under, I think, just under Parker. It could go up slightly too because of the requirement of more deputies. Either way, I would rather give that money to the county, who I know I trust with the money because they're well-funded and well-organized organizations. And whereas with Reno, we've never had any kind of transparency. We have no idea what happens with the money, other than they're finally getting the audits done. They say they are. We still have yet to see anything for 2022. They got 21 done. Anyway, so let's just go into this a little bit. But so this 30, 60, 90 day, 120 day plan. The whole idea, first off, city manager. Okay, you're looking at 125, 100,000 minimum for a city manager. Okay, so think about that. That's how much that's going to cost. Now then we go into a water manager. Okay, you're going to need, they're talking, they want to use 2 different water managers, or have 2 qualified, certified water people. And I looked I looked those salaries up, and they range from 50,000. I think if you had a manager and another guy, so 50 and 75. Best case scenario, 2 at 50. Either way, so let's just call it another 100,000, and then so that's just those 2 high-end employees, administrative engineer type employees. Now, then they're going to have to hire contractors. Now they used to have a contract. They had a contractor come in who did an analysis, engineering analysis, and they came up with an $8 million cost figure to put in a water system, replace our water system, upgrade our water system, water towers, the whole kit and caboodle. The bottom line is just a regular water tower one, which I think would be a great start if we went to Springtown, like I've been advocating for. They could put one water tower out at their pumping facility on North Cardinal. And that's about 1.5 to 2 million. Now that's a good start, and that's, I'm just saying it wouldn't be terribly bad. On our water prices, they're going to go up, the bottom line, because we have neglected anything with our water system for, in its existence. It's hardly been anything done. So there's going to be some costs, but I would rather it be in the hands of Springtown and their managers who are, they're being paid already because they're in Springtown. So why pay for new managers to do what we could just put on the hands of somebody that's already got the people? And then our proceeds from water could go straight to paying for infrastructure. That's my whole thing with this. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I'm sure that's the direction they're going to go with this. If they're smart, they sure will, because I don't want outsiders to come in here with a private investors for a water system. I want local. And Springtown is a great benefit in that they can use Reno's water infrastructure to act as a hub to sell some of their excess water to Walnut Creek, who needs more water. They're hurting for water, because that was originally who I thought we would get to buy our water. I think it's a bad idea now because they just don't have the water. But this would act as a conduit to, they're connected to Azle, and they're also connected to Walnut Creek. So it would be great for them to sell water, and then, development coming or not, but that's where a lot of this water is going to go, and so it's, going to be, that's where it's coming from. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be tying into this for the Reno proper, even more so than we should for this development, because we're hurting for water, and yet the priority is going to be this development. So you do the math again, why do we want the city? Anyway, so let's see, what else do we talk about? Water managers. Then you have your other employees, all your water employees. I don't know how many they need, a couple. And then, you got a couple at the desk. And then, you got your city secretary. And then the police. I mean, we're talking, it used to cost $750,000 a year back when Linda was doing this to, Eric. I'm, so in there between $750,000 and $1 million a year just for our police budget. That's where half of the majority of our tax money was going, and some of the water proceeds was paying for this police department. And so, again, probably for half of that we can give, even if the city stayed intact, we could get it for $450,000 for the sheriffs to come and do the policing and just contract and pay them to do the job. But the bottom line is, so we're looking at almost $1 million, at least nowadays. I'm going to guess $1 million to fund a police department. And so now just start doing the math in your head. We're already over $1 million, getting at $1.25 million. And we haven't even started on the infrastructure work, okay? So I'm jumping around a little, but the bottom line is, so the roads cost about $100K for chip seal on existing good asphalt. If you got to replace asphalt, it's $1 million a mile. Now, you tell me, if 55 in 100, everybody's outraged over that, it isn't going to cut it. It's going to be way more than that. If you're going to pay for roads, and then, if you at least separate the water system off into its own entity, now you have, it's supporting itself, and it's funding infrastructure upgrades and stuff. But like I said, we're looking at, $8 million is what the old estimate was. So, you do the math there. I mean, that's at least independent of the rest of this budget from our taxes. But the problem is, I don't trust, because of our history, I just don't trust the local people. And it's not personal. I'm just saying, couldn't do it either. It's not feasible with our tax base to do this. We don't have enough sales tax. That's the other point. We just don't have enough sales tax. We need sales tax. So I'm just saying, we're so much better off to hand this off, like the water department, to Springtown, who's already got the management and the people to do, that we wouldn't have to pay for more managers. That's where all of your money goes, is to employees. So it just makes sense. And so, I'm kind of glossing over some stuff here. The bottom line is this whole plan, it goes out to 180 days and all these things that they plan on doing and whatnot. But they don't talk about what it's going to cost. And I just gave you a brief cost benefit analysis right there. And it's way, way more than 55 on 100. It just is. And I know you're not going to spend, every year you're not going to spend it all on the roads. In other words, it's got to be, parts and pieces they're going to have to work on at a time. They can't do it all at once. But nevertheless, I mean, you're going to have to trust this community's voted for people, council and mayor. They're going to supposedly hire a water manager and a city manager. And you think those people are going to last in the toxic nature of this community? I mean, I just don't see it. I just think it's going to be a constant battle, either with personalities or agendas or, people up north in North Cardinal. Oh, well, we need that water so we can water our lawns. So we're going to have to prioritize that. And who's in control? A good part of your council, the mayor, and a lot of the influence comes from those people in that development up north. So guess where a lot of that influence is what the money's going to go to is going to go up there. Just like those developments, Eric created them, and he had to spend money on the roads up there, and that's where half, or at least, like 3/4 of that $1 million loan was to that road upgrade that he had to do after he approved those developments. So you're seeing a picture here, okay? I don't trust that these people can make rational decisions. I mean, it's not, like I say, it isn't personal. It's just we've never been a real city, and so we're letting, you know, a railroad engineer, the mayor, making decisions that are no business for him to be making. His role, his job is a ceremonial job in most communities, and that's why you have a city manager. But the problem is that these people are so toxic and so infighting and bad blood and all the words I like to use that it's going to be hell if you're a city manager or any other kind of manager to stay here unless you're, I mean, from the community. But that's what we faced before with Scott Passmore. I've discussed. We don't want a local guy who's a good old boy. I mean, that's where the problems start. You need to bring in some fresh blood from the outside, and you need a well-funded organization, which we don't have. So herein lies the problem. So anyway, so I go past the great plan he has that he hasn't even outlined of what it's going to cost, and you kind of already get in the picture here. And, you know, we're walking out without any debt if we quit now. If we call Reno buy and we go unincorporated, we're debt free. The county starts picking up the slack and does the roads. Over time, I know it's not going to be overnight. The roads to me are the least of my concern. But the sheriff's department, they're not going to miss a beat. They're just not going to miss a beat. They're doing 90%. Well, maybe that's a little high. 75 to 80, based on the numbers, is what they're doing of our policing already. So no problem. The fire situation we've already discussed. I think Reno Briar will go away. They'll be funded till the end of the fiscal year. Then ESD1 will be voted in if that's the direction we go with the county. And so that'll be a 10 on 100 tax that we'll have to pay. And so that will replace the 10 on the 13 on the 100 we've been paying the city out of our taxes to the city. So that's how that works. So it'll be like the only thing that's even a question is the water department thing. And I've already mentioned that it falls on Judge Dean. He's responsible for this until it sells. And so that means he's got to put some people in place down there. I think he already has probably worked out a deal with the employees that are already there to keep it going. And who knows who it's going to sell to and who they're going to do it with. I'm hoping Bass and him and they all have worked some kind of deal trying to figure this out before, just in case. Hard to say, but I feel like, you know, there is a risk. There's always risk, but you have to have some courage in this world if you want to see a better day. We need to step away from this. So anyway, I'm rambling again about why we need to disincorporate, but I really wanted to go over you know, the thing about the city manager, the costs, we already went over that. Let's see, talking about budgeting, the budgeting thing. We still don't have the audits done. And so we're talking about budgeting and all this. It just blows me away how we could sit here and pretend like that we're so responsible, but you can't even give us any, you can't in 2 years have got your audits fixed. I mean, and that's this thing about it's two administrations that screwed it up is wrong. I'm flat out telling you, Eric had he had kept his books. It was it was Sam White. He didn't do his bookkeeping. And so when he took over May 2021 is where it all went to hell in a handbasket. And it's taken them now all this time to try to straighten out all the lost data, apparently, that he didn't take care of. So anyway, good luck with that. Let's see. Zoning and growth. Okay, yeah, this is beautiful. They want to bring in this huge development and then want to talk about zoning and growth. It's just, I'm sorry. I don't understand people when they ask this. Well, if we get rid of the city, we're going to lose our zoning and we're going to lose our ordinances and all this. Well, okay, but what was the point of the ordinances if all they're going to do is do what they're doing and let this big development come in here and get in bed with them? Well, what was the point anyway? Because now they've just opened the door for everything and anything. And so, you can control whatever you choose to control, whatever. It's already all the stuff that's already, the city's the way it is because of when it was in the county before. So you've got all kinds of different development in here. And I just don't see it. I don't get the point of it. But it's all, I mean, it's silliness, most of this stuff. I just don't understand anyway, rambling again. Talked about the budget. I'm going to need to take a break here for a second because it's about to hit 15 minutes and I have to stop before then or it won't be able to be put on, not monetized. It won't be able to be put on YouTube after 15. So I'll be right back.